Now, Kentucky, of course, is now on the bubble, and I know you have them kind of right there on the fringe, Andy. Can you take us through their resume, where they are right now, and if the tournament started today, would you have them in?
It's not good. I'm not gonna mince words here. I had them as an 11 seed this earlier this week on Tuesday. So before the Alabama loss, that dropped them another tick in the SEC standings. And when you really take an honest look at what Kentucky's resume is, and get away from the promise of the roster and the tantalizing nature of some of the individual talent that may or may not be on the team, they don't have a top 50 win this year. And the problem that Kentucky is facing is that the SEC is so down that outside of the games against Florida, and I think they play Missouri once, and they get a game at Ole Miss, you're really not looking at very many opportunities to enhance a profile that was very poor during non-conference play. So I think Kentucky is going to be in the conversation as far as a bubble team for the remainder of the season. It's hard to imagine that they won't get any of these big games, but it's hard to imagine that they're going to win, 3 of the 4 or something like that to really alleviate some of the concern. So I think this is going to be a discussion that goes into March.
Can they control their own destiny in a way? I mean, are they in a position where if, let's say, they win one of the two with Florida and beat Missouri and win, the teams or against the teams they're rated higher than, that they will get in? Or is there other things that factor in, other teams and other conversations that factor in to where this is still a work in progress?
Well, I think they need to take care of their own business, and that's twofold. One is they need to win a couple of these premium games so they have something on their resume that the committee will look at and say, okay, they beat a couple of top 50 teams. And they also need to take a better care of business in the games that they need to win. You can't be losing games at home to Texas A&M, losing at Alabama, and then expect you're going to get through if you don't win a couple of games against Florida or Missouri or in the SEC tournament. So I think it's twofold for Kentucky. And then you're looking at things elsewhere. You want the Mountain West situation to sort itself out. So maybe 4 teams get in, not 5 or even potentially 6. You want there to be more separation at the top of the Big Ten, so a team like Iowa won't sneak in. You're starting to peek around at conferences around the country. A team like Indiana State losing in league in the Missouri Valley last night, that's good for Kentucky. So maybe that league will only get 2 teams in instead of 3. So those are the types of things that you'll be looking for. And then projecting toward March, you're looking for a lack of upsets in conference tournaments so teams don't steal bids from a possible at-large team like Kentucky.
What, as a team, when you look at this group of players, what can they do to improve? I mean, there's a lot of questions about their play right now and a lot of issues. When you look at this team, where are the areas where they really need to improve between now and the end of the season?
I don't think there's any secret. You guys obviously have been watching the team a little bit closer than I would as a national observer. But, I think the guard play has been inconsistent. You're dealing with freshman bigs, so they're not going to give it to you every night in the way that you want it. But I think the biggest problem that they have, and this is a big picture perspective for Kentucky under the John Calipari model, is every year basically is a reboot. And some years are going to take longer on the development cycle. And this might be a year where it just doesn't get to where people thought it might going to be for whatever reason. And I think part of the issue this year is, unlike last year when you had guys like Darius Miller and Doron Lamb to not necessarily be the best player on the team, but there were certain nights where they were the best player on the floor for that Kentucky team, despite all of the lottery talent that was on the roster. I don't think this team has non-freshman, non-first-year Kentucky players in enough depth, beyond a Kyle Wilcher, to really, pull them out of this type of rut or bail them out in a game where you need a big bucket or something like that. I think honestly that's one of the major issues that they're having this year. Is not only is maybe the mix a little bit off or the talent level a little bit down, but I think the overall experience level is so low that there are going to be spots, especially on the road, where they're just not going to be able to salvage a game that maybe last year's team would have.
All right, Andy Glockner from SI.com. Appreciate the time, and look forward to talking to you maybe later on with more of a happy conversation about the Cats. Who knows?
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.